Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to master the care and keeping of one of the absolute most striking houseplants you can possibly bring into your home, the Philodendron Birkin. Whether you literally just brought your very first Birkin home from the nursery, or you're an experienced indoor gardener looking to really dial in your propagation game, we are going to break down everything you need to know to make this incredible plant absolutely thrive. Now, what's totally fascinating is the Birkin's origin story. You won't actually find this specific plant growing wild out in the rainforest. Nope. The Birkin is actually a relatively new addition to the plant world, and it started as a spontaneous mutation of the burgundy philodendron Rojo Congo. That gorgeous, glossy, dark green foliage with those completely unique, creamy white to pale yellow pinstripes. Yeah, that's just a beautiful genetic accident. And because of that, every single leaf is completely unique. How cool is that? So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start by officially meeting the Birkin. Then we'll cover the absolute survival essentials: water, light, and soil. Next up, we optimize the environment with climate and feeding. Then we'll tackle troubleshooting. And finally, we'll graduate to expert propagation and pro tips.
All right, section 1, meet the Birkin, a compact wonder.
So if you're used to those classic vining philodendrons, the Birkin is going to behave a bit differently for you. It's got what we call a self-heading growth habit, meaning it doesn't trail or vine. Instead, it grows upright and outwards, right from a central stem, which gives it this really lush, bushy vibe. It's a moderate grower, eventually topping out at about 3 feet tall with a 1 to 2 foot spread. And honestly, it can easily live well over a decade if you treat it right. But I really need to point out a super important warning here. Just like other aroids, the Birkin contains calcium oxalate crystals. That makes it highly toxic to your cats and dogs. It'll cause intense oral irritation and swelling if they chew on it, so you absolutely must keep this one out of reach of your curious furry friends. Moving right along to section 2, the big 3: water, light, and soil. Let's talk light, because light is literally the single most critical factor for maintaining those gorgeous pinstripes. You want bright, indirect light. An east-facing window is usually the absolute sweet spot. Now, if you give the plant too much direct midday sun, those delicate creamy stripes are going to physically scorch. You'll literally get crispy brown spots. But if you stick it in deep shade, something pretty fascinating happens. The plant will actually revert. See, the white parts of the leaf don't have chlorophyll. So a plant sitting in low light goes into full survival mode and tries to save itself by pumping out solid green leaves just to maximize its energy production. So remember, bright and filtered is your golden rule here. Okay, watering. The crucial thing here is finding the balance. You want to water thoroughly, like let the water run completely out through the drainage holes, but you only do this when the top 1 to 2 inches of soil are completely dry to the touch. Seriously, overwatering is the #1 killer for these guys. It totally suffocates the roots, which leads to yellowing lower leaves, mushy stems, and ultimately the dreaded root rot. On the flip side, if you're underwatering, your Birkin is going to let you know. It'll start drooping and developing these sad, crispy brown edges. So always, always let that topsoil dry out first. Now, to make that watering routine totally foolproof, you've got to have the right soil. Birkins absolutely hate dense, heavy potting soil. They want an environment that mimics the airy rainforest floor. So here is the perfect chunky DIY aroid mix for you. You want 1 part standard indoor potting mix, that's for your nutrients, then 1 part perlite for incredible aeration and drainage, and finally 1 part orchid bark. That creates these chunky little air pockets that hold on to just a tiny bit of moisture. You can also toss in a handful of horticultural charcoal if you have it to help absorb any impurities. A mix like this is a real game changer because it ensures excess water escapes quickly and essential oxygen can easily circulate right around those roots. All right, section 3, climate, feeding, and maintenance, creating the perfect environment. Thanks to its tropical lineage, your Birkin definitely wants to be warm and humid. The ideal temperature sweet spot is right between 65 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. You really want to avoid placing it anywhere near drafty windows, AC vents, or space heaters. In fact, anything dropping below 55 degrees can actually shock the poor plant. As for humidity, your target is about 50 to 70%. Now sure, they can adapt to our average 40% indoor humidity, but hitting that higher target, that is how you get those massive, super glossy leaves. And hey, skip this simple misting with a spray bottle. It doesn't really last, and it can actually cause fungal issues. Instead, you want to boost the humidity consistently.
fire up a room humidifier, sit your pot on a pebble tray filled with water, or honestly, just group a bunch of your plants together to create a nice little humid microclimate.
To fuel all that gorgeous growth, you've got to feed your Birkin. We recommend using a balanced liquid fertilizer, something with a 10-10-10 ratio. But listen up, here is a massive pro tip for you. Always dilute that fertilizer down to half the recommended strength. Houseplants are incredibly susceptible to chemical burns and salt buildup. You should really only be feeding the plant about once a month during its active growing season, so spring and summer. Then, just pause feeding entirely during the dormant fall and winter months. Oh, and one more golden rule to remember. Never apply fertilizer to bone-dry soil. Always water your plant a day or two beforehand to protect those sensitive roots from getting burned. Section 4. Troubleshooting. Pests and problems. Our plants are pretty good at communicating their issues to us if we just know what to look for. If you start seeing those leaves reverting back to solid green, your plant is practically begging for more light. Got yellowing lower leaves? Well, you are almost certainly overwatering. Let that topsoil dry out. If you're noticing brown, crispy edges, your air is likely way too dry, or you might even have mineral buildup from hard tap water. And finally, if the plant has this leggy growth with really long spaces between tiny little leaves, it's just stretching out looking for the sun. Just move it to a brighter spot and it'll sort itself out. Now, sometimes the problem isn't the environment at all, it's uninvited guests. You've got to keep a really close eye out for sap-sucking pests. Mealybugs, for instance, look like these little cottony masses, and they just love to hide deep in the tight crevices of new growth. Spider mites? They'll leave fine webbing under the leaves and give the plant this faded, stippled look. Thrips are a serious headache, leaving silvery patches and badly scarred, distorted new leaves. And hey, if you see tiny little flying insects hovering around the dirt, those are fungus gnats, which are almost always caused by keeping the soil a bit too wet. If you spot literally any of these, your immediate action plan is to isolate the Birkin away from all your other houseplants and treat the foliage thoroughly with insecticidal soap or neem oil. And finally, Section 5. Expert propagation and pro tips. Multiplying your Birkin. I'll tell you, propagating a Birkin is incredibly rewarding, and water propagation is for sure the easiest method to start with. But the absolutely crucial point here is step 1. You must identify a healthy stem that has at least one node. A node is just that slight, swollen little bump on the stem where the leaves emerge. Without a node, roots will simply never grow. Period. Once you've got your node, take some sterile shears and make your cut about an inch below it. Then, just submerge that node into a jar of room temperature water, making sure to keep the actual leaves completely dry. Just change that water out every 3 to 5 days to replenish the oxygen and stop any weird bacteria from growing. And in just 2 to 4 weeks, bam, you'll see a healthy, brand new white root system starting to form. Now, when it comes to finally repotting either those brand new cuttings or your fully mature plant, I want you to remember this specific number, 1 to 2 inches. Philodendrons actually really prefer to be slightly root-bound. Because of this, you only need to repot them maybe every 1 to 2 years. And when you finally do, choose a new pot that is only 1 to 2 inches wider in diameter than the old one. If you put it in a massive pot, all that excess soil will just hold on to way too much water, and you're risking that dreaded root rot all over again. Okay, let's finish strong with some rapid-fire pro tips you can literally use today. First step, give your pot a quarter turn every single time you water it. This makes sure all sides get equal sunlight so you end up with a perfectly symmetrical plant. Second, remember that dust literally blocks photosynthesis, so gently wipe down those beautiful leaves with a damp cloth every few weeks. Third, do not be afraid to prune. If you see a fully reverted solid green or solid red leaf pop up, just snip it right off. That forces the plant to redirect its energy back into variegated growth. You can even prune the main top stem if you want to force the plant to become bushier from the base. And lastly, if your local tap water is super hard, make the switch to filtered or distilled water. It prevents mineral buildup and keeps those delicate leaf tips looking totally pristine. Well, we've covered the origins, we built the perfect chunky soil mix, went over precise watering techniques, and even learned how to clone the plant through propagation. You now have the exact expert blueprint to make this incredible pinstriped wonder completely flourish. So, the only question left is this. Your Birkin is ready to thrive, but is your brightest window ready for it? Thanks so much for joining me on today's Explainer. Go check your soil moisture right now, and I'll catch you on the next one.